the session for those that are not there. Now again, without doing much, okay, without doing much coding, we've learned another very important aspect of being a web developer, something that will take you throughout your career, that you need to work with, and that is the fact that we have multiple web browsers. We have Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari, we have Google Chrome, the one I've been using, we have Opera, and we have Microsoft Internet Explorer. Now, if you remember, Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, created it because we needed a standard way to share documents amongst each other. So through HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we're able to read these files and actually have beautiful websites. Now, if we send these files, this HTML, CSS, JavaScript, into any of these browsers, each of the browsers read it. They read the HTML file, they read the CSS file, they read the JavaScript file, and lay out the web page for us. But as you can see, each of them is owned by a company. All these browsers, they are owned by different companies, different browsers, different companies. We have Google Chrome, we have Safari, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox. Okay, so that means they all have to agree on how they are going to read the HTML file, the CSS file, and JavaScript file. Because if they don't all agree, then, well, we need to create a different files specific for each browser, because each one of them has a different idea of what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is. And you know what? When the World Wide Web got started, we had something called the browsers wars. Like in Nigeria, I think last year we had bank wars where banks are fighting, each other. So we have browser wars where each browser was kind of doing its own thing, implementing different things. And we still have that till today, but to some extent. But there is a governing body which creates the standards now. Like, okay, you know what, everybody, we have a standard and you must comply, you must work with the standard. But it is still a pain point for developers, where we need to figure out that whenever we send our files to the web browser, it looks all the same on all browsers. And that is one of the biggest problems we have as developers. And you'll see tools, later on in this course that try to solve that issue. But you will always encounter this problem where we want to make sure that wherever your browser gets rendered, anybody can see your website. And not only that, we also have mobile phones. We have, mobile phones that can now access the internet. We have iPads. We have different devices that can access the internet. So now, not only do we have to worry about different browsers and whether they agree on what code works in each of the files, you also have to make sure that our websites look good on small screens, on big screens, on all sorts of different screens. And that is a very important concept, something that when you got to become a web developer, you will encounter this problem, where you have to test on each device, each browser, to make sure that everything works fine. Imagine you are working for a client and you have to develop a website on your own device, on your own browser. Everything is working fine. You send the website to them like, oh, you know what, I'm done with your website, you can test it. And they're like, this thing is not working, or they are seeing something different. So, we will use some tools that have been developed over the years to solve these problems. So that is not as much as a pain point as it is or as it was. All right. So one more lesson to go, and we get to code and build something beautiful, something practical. See you in the next one. But before I go, if you have any question about this, this session, just let me know. So, and I wanted to show you how web applications were built in the early 2000s. They were built with technologies that we've come to familiarize ourselves with. We have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but we also had jQuery. And jQuery was a library that allowed JavaScript to be written in a simple, clean, clean way that allowed us not to worry too much about working in one browser than the other. So it created this environment for JavaScript to flourish, but it is an outdated tool. Though many developers still use it, but there is a better way of doing things. You know? So it is not used very often, and you'll see it less and less in job postings. Like you know, many employers are requesting less of jQuery developers. Then on the back end here, we have the LAMP stack. LAMP stands for, L for Linux, A for Apache, M for MySQL, and P for PHP. And in those days, backend developers used PHP to write files that allowed us to have logic on the servers. And then we had Apache. So if you ever use something like Q servers, HostGator, GoDaddy, a lot of all these hosting companies, you had to log into cPanel or any of those very common hosting platforms. You know, and most likely they are running on Apache server. And it is what it is. Apache is a software that efficiently serves up files, and PHP is a language that is still being used today. Facebook actually used PHP to build their website back in the days, you know, and that's because their website was built in the early 2000s. Oh, sorry. So it is still popular, but not very popular again. And in terms of opportunity, then we also had MySQL. We had MySQL, which is still being used, but not very very well like that. So MySQL is just a database structure. But again, if you are looking to get hired and you want to look for skills that are highly employable, skills that people are looking for, and there are still very few developers that know them really well. Well, those are the technologies we'll be learning in this course. And this course, we are going to learn HTML5, we are going to learn CSS3, we are going to learn JavaScript, and we are going to learn React. And React is probably the fastest growing, let me say, the biggest library for JavaScript. And we are going to learn about Node servers, Node.js, Express.js. We are going to learn about Postgres, SQL, and also we are going to learn about MongoDB. So we are learning all these things in order for us to build clean, fast, and bug-free web applications, so that we can stand, on shoulders of giants, so that we can create wonderful applications that we are proud of. So get excited, and all the theory stuff. We are done with everything. We are done with everything presently, and we are going to start coding. So we are going to start off with HTML, then we get into CSS, then finally JavaScript and React. And don't worry, we are going to get to the back end as well, whereby we'll be writing, we'll be developing servers with Node.js and Express.js, and we'll also be connecting the server with the database using Postgres, SQL, and MongoDB. So that is going to, that's going to be all for for the theory section, and I hope you've learned something new. I hope you've acquired something new, and I hope you are now more exposed on some of the technologies, and you now understand the problem we had in the past when it comes to web development. You understand where we are coming from. You understand how the first website was built, and you know you understand how computers communicate with each other. You understand why our websites must work on different browsers, and why we have a kind of consensus between different companies. Like, let's stick to a protocol. Let's stick to a standard. I hope we understand all these things now. So our next class is going to be on coding. We are going to code our first website with HTML5. I learned that there are a lot of online um, software development training whereby people are telling you can develop website very fast. They are telling you are using WordPress and the likes. But in this course, we are building our own stuff from the scratch. We are starting from the scratch. We are building up. So that is all about the theory aspects, and we are done with that. So if we have any questions, I don't know. We have to have someone to join us now. I'll I'll call in to what's the time? Okay. So if we have any questions, please let's ask.
Are you okay? I hear you say that you know.
Hello, do we have any questions?
Hello and welcome to this